Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com.
So much of Australia, I guess, and in particular the eastern coast of Australia has been highly anxious for the past couple of days with Tropical Cyclone Alfred making its way to mainly to the southeast of Queensland, northern New South Wales area, which has been an uncommon occurrence, at least in recent years. I think it was the 50s that the last time something like this actually happened, and obviously as we're recording this on a Saturday, it's already made landfall and it's already been downgraded to a tropical low. But that's not to say that there isn't further dangerous aspects that they need to look out for with flash flooding and the destructive winds and all that sort of thing that typically come with that, particularly northern New South Wales. Lismore got hit 3 years ago with some pretty devastating flooding, and they might be looking at something like that again, although I guess the slow-moving nature of the cyclone has kind of given everyone a bit more time to prepare for that. I haven't seen the latest news updates, but it is a reminder that we're not immune to these things. I think looking at history, you'd probably think that it would be more sort of located in the top end of Australia more than further south. But I guess this is an example that where it has been.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to watch this, cyclone come in over the last week, to watch it form. And we knew that roughly where it was going to make landfall. And, it's very different to 50 years ago and the way that it would have been tracked by the Bureau of Meteorology. So there's this big build up. Luckily, it means we're prepared, but even with preparation, it's very difficult to prevent forces of nature of this magnitude. And I think the other thing that we're seeing now in Australia when these things happen, and they happen from time to time, exactly as you say, in the north of the country, but this is just happening to hit a highly populated and densely populated region. And so that makes it very difficult for everyone that lives there. Makes it very difficult even to respond, because you're now no longer talking about areas of natural vegetation being devastated. You're talking about cities and the infrastructure around those cities under incredible stress.
Yeah, and it's been impressive to watch, I guess, the build-up of the that sort of pre-response, if for lack of a better term, that, there's been a lot of movement to make sure that, maybe we can't, it's kind of like we can't do anything overall about this, but we can be prepared, and then we can be ready to come in after the fact to clean up and find ways to get people back on their feet as quickly as possible.
Well, that's right. And look, in a certain way, I think, the pandemic has sort of helped with this organisation and this ability to anticipate and respond in advance to ensure that the right precautions are taken so that we're as best prepared as possible. But I think the one thing that just keeps coming back to my mind on this is 50 years ago, the population would have been probably only a third across this entire region, compared to what it is now. And when you have large populations exposed to these sorts of weather events, then it really does. It puts a lot of stress on everything. It puts stress on your administrations, on your infrastructure and your emergency infrastructure as well, and as well as the people that are working as best together as they can within the communities to look after themselves.
Absolutely. One of the sad things, unfortunately, was the distribution of fake content online, some AI generated, purporting to show, damage to, say, like Brisbane, when at least for now, it hasn't really happened. And I know that this sort of touches on things we've talked about before with the perils of social media, but it it's just highlights that in a situation like this how dangerous it can be, because if that's where people are getting their updates and information and they're seeing things like this, it's more than not helpful. It can lead to some really bad outcomes. And I mean, I thought that it was interesting that some of the traditional media got on top of it and was actually talking about it in the lead up to the to landfall, etc., just to highlight to people that don't just go by anything you happen to see online.
Yeah, I agree. That's very interesting, and yet by the same token, even if you're aware that there's chance that what you might be viewing online may in fact be fake, it doesn't help you discern which is real and which isn't, and what's happening. And if you have friends or family in the area, that can be incredibly disconcerting. If you think it represents an immediate threat to where you are, then that can be disconcerting as well. And all it does is it increases the stress on everyone, and potentially can lead to the wrong decision or poor decisions being made. So it's really not, even though I'm sure plenty of people have got the technology now to create these images and might think it's a bit of fun, it's really not very helpful.
No. And maybe in this case, like I was thinking of ABC 24, like that, and that kind of traditional media, whether there's a 24-hour news channel, you can tell that that's when like they're more suitable and built for this type of scenario. I've found the coverage, because obviously we were wanting rolling updates, because it was changing hour by hour, and even like landfall today, I think ended up being 2 hours earlier than what I think they had forecast yesterday. Which led to it not crossing over during high tide, which they were fearing, which would have caused more damage, etc. Just being able to keep up to date on that as a resource was helpful, I thought. And even the old, it's funny, like the old school have a battery powered radio and listening to your local updates from your local channel, local radio station, even if it's digital or through the airwaves, I thought was interesting as part of that.
It is interesting, and I hope people have taken the precaution of also ensuring they've got some cash on hand, because I think these are times when in a very modern world we often forget the essentials, and the essentials are power that's stored and accessible, whether that's in just old style chemical batteries or generators. When systems go down in modern age, they all go down. And when they all go down, then it becomes very difficult once again to make good decisions and to keep yourself safe. So the ability to have cash in the aftermath, in case whole networks are down or there's no other way of trading or transacting in your location. There are lots of things like that, and I think as is often said, when we see events like this, natural hazards / disasters, although I'm not sure this is a disaster yet, we are reminded how when everything works in our society in the digital age, it's wonderful, but if things start to fall apart, it becomes very difficult to exist in that modern world, and things become increasingly marginalised.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. Hopefully over the next few days it doesn't lead to anything worse happening, but I guess we'll stay up to date and see how all that goes. And we're actually, as a side note, going to be off for a little while. We've got some between us, we've got some trips coming up, so but we'll probably hopefully be back with you in early May, hopefully.
Well, absolutely. Nothing better than travelling to see the world.
Absolutely. Second that all the way. Alrighty, so that's it for this week's episode. We'll catch you next time.